Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Fools Rush In STFC podcast.
Falling apart.
It's falling apart already, and we've only just started. On what has been a very, very disappointing week at SM1, there seems to be a lot to cover and a lot of opinion to share. So let's say a quick hello to today's panel, starting with the man named on my screen as Big Time Ben. How are you, pal?
Evening, Pfeiffer. I'm very well, thank you very much. And yourself?
Yes, very, very well, thank you. Woody, hello, mate.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. You okay?
I am very well, thank you for asking. How is the Wi-Fi?
The Wi-Fi seems okay.
Excellent. And Ned, 2 shows in a row. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good, glad to have you with us again.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And the man who finally made his way back from Butlins to be able to join us. How are you, Mr. A?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Fifey. I think I've finally recovered from the stag weekend.
Well, needless to say, you've done well because you're, with the exception of Woody, you're the only one that went to the stag do that's actually made it to one of these shows since. So, congratulations to you.
There's a theme there, isn't there? Yeah.
There is. Unsurprisingly, the 2 that haven't quite made it yet. Let's kick off straight away on what was on the pitch a very disappointing week. We met this time last week, once we got all the transfer stuff out of the way and we were looking at the games. I think everyone was fairly confident of beating Crawley. That didn't happen. And Woody, I think it was you said, if we beat Crawley, we'll beat Exeter. If we don't, we're in trouble. We didn't, and we were in trouble.
Yeah, I think the only situation I didn't say was if we drew with Crawley, we'd draw with Exeter, and I think that's why we lost to Exeter. It was a disappointing week overall, to be honest. I didn't go to Crawley game, but I did go to the Exeter game. We're going through that sticky patch now that we really didn't want to go through in January/February, and be all and end all. We've got to pick it up quickly. It seems that these double weeks are just getting more and more important every time we have them. So I think, I don't know whether we're just talking about each performance individually, but overall,
however you want to view it, mate. If you want to look at it as a collective.
Well, I won't talk about Crawley because I wasn't there. I heard it was a pretty poor game, but in terms of Exeter, I don't massively agree with everything that's been said. That that we were really good for a certain amount of time. I think Exeter were a lot better than us. I think they came wanting it a bit more. But it made me laugh. I was chatting to some guys in the town end, and I was saying that we've been crying
there after comments earlier this season.
I'm always in there. They all shake my hand now. We've been crying as Swindon fans. We've been crying for a team to come to play at the county ground like Exeter did, and then they did it really well, and they did the business on us. So yeah, it was a very disappointing last 20 minutes. It went completely downhill after Davison went off for me, potentially even when Lydon went off as well. But yeah, it was there was some promise. The biggest promising was Tomlinson. I thought Tomlinson was brilliant. I think that what a signing he's going to turn out to be. But we needed to win that game. I generally can't sum it up in that.
He generally can't sum it up because his Wi-Fi cuts out.
Oh, you're joking, man.
So finish that's important sentence, Woody. You generally can't sum up.
I generally can't sum it up because we needed to win that game. I think that's what I said.
Yeah.
This is how much I babble on these because I forget what I'm saying most of the
time. Craig, picking up on something Woody said there, I think as football fans, particularly as fans of a lower league football club, you can, as much as it's frustrating or annoying or upsetting or whichever emotion you go through, you understand losing. You can accept losing if you lose to a better team. But the thing that bothers me when Woody says it is a team coming to the county ground wanting it more. That shouldn't happen, should it?
No, of course not. But we've had this issue all season. I think at home we just other teams just seem to come with a plan, and it does, and like what he was saying, it doesn't matter what style of football, they seem to be able to I don't know if it's a psychological thing with our players. I honestly just can't get my head around it. But yeah, it shouldn't be that way. You know, you think, I mean, we've said it before on plenty of podcasts before. This team has had more goodwill from the fans than any other Swindon Town team that I can remember. So it's not for a lack of support from the fans. And fans have generally been great. You're going to get the odd dickhead and everything. You're always going to have that in the odd time when the fans are booing and stuff like that. But generally, they've had the fans behind them. So there's no excuse there. I think it's down to Garner and the coaching staff need to do some sort of get past this mental block of us playing at home, because that's where it is. That's where it's let us down this season. We should be up there with Forest Green. We should be. The team that we had for the first, up until the transfer window, that team was good enough to win this league. And we should have been, I really feel that Garner didn't get enough out of that team. And he should have done a lot better. And now we're in this situation now where we're treading water for the playoffs. And it looks as if our season's going to end, it's just going to fizzle out. So yeah, I don't know the answer, how we're going to get through that, but it certainly shouldn't be the case where teams are coming to us wanting it more than we are. But again, I think that's down to, the coaching staff to try and motivate the players enough to be able to want it more.
Well, the subject of Garner, I actually want to bring up in a minute as a specific point. So we'll come back to that if I may. Ben, on the two results combined, I think when we spoke last week, again, as I said in the intro to the topic, we were all fairly confident of 3 points, looking realistically at 4, but ideally needing 6. To only have 1 from the week, it's unacceptable, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we really needed to start on the front foot against Crawley, and it added the pressure a little bit going into the weekend, which I think played its part in some way. I think factors didn't quite go as well. I think we started all right against Crawley. I watched the game on iFollow. For the first 30 minutes, we absolutely battered them and out of sight. But the problem started.
Game's 90 minutes long, though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's 30 minutes were great, and the last 60 minutes were pretty average. We could have had a penalty. They did get their penalty, and at the same time, Davison got injured, and Davison's our main vocal point going up front. And with him going off, we just lost any sort of momentum or any sort of bite. He was a big miss. And when we equalised, the second half was a non-event. When we equalised, it was a surprise. It was going to have to be a big deflection or some sort of silly error to get us in the game. We got away with one, really, against Crawley. Exeter game, I wasn't watching because I was isolating at the time. And but what I could gather, it was okay. It's not by the worst performance. I think there was some notable decent performances. But again, I think injuries to the wrong people at the wrong time, and probably a poor bit of in-game management by Garner, which we'll probably bring up later. We sort of gave the game away a little bit, and it was just that sort of defeat was just soul destroying because it was pretty much won, and we sort of threw it away, and we didn't really need to. And this sort of frustration continues because we're better than that, but there's a number of factors going the way.
No, absolutely. And Ned, on the subject of being better than that, and again, if you've got comment on Crawley as well, by all means, but if we're looking at things, I think I've already used the phrase twice tonight, unacceptable. To be 1-0 up until that late in the game, and to not only not even get a point, but to lose is more than just a disappointment, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, my comments to other people about this game was, I thought we looked half decent. Certainly the first half. I think we looked okay. The start of the second half, but it was the last 15 minutes when we were winning. It just seemed like we were so nervous, and it felt like that we didn't know how to hold on for a victory, and you just felt it was coming, and it's incredibly frustrating. But I mean, I do feel that there is some excuse here, and whether that's an acceptable excuse or not, obviously, the panel can decide. But like with Tyrese leaving, he left, and we had we had that focal point, strong focal point, who was on the same wavelength as Harry McCurdy. Them two with each other was just producing so much. We haven't got that with Davison yet, and well, there's several reasons for that. Obviously, the amount of time that they've had on the training ground together is minimal because of the Tuesday, Saturday. So hopefully, after this game's these next two games have elapsed, that they should hopefully be able to, get something. But we're getting quite late in another 2-3 games. But
games will start to run out sooner than later.
Exactly. But obviously with these two games, you had Davison going off, and as soon as Davison leaves the pitch, then that's it. Our A game is completely out the window because we haven't got someone to hold the ball up, to bring others into play. And Louis Barry is, he's either going to be a switch around player for McCurdy, or potentially maybe an attacking midfielder, winger, I don't know. But to have him in Davison's position, I mean, it's essentially never going to work. And missing, Reed as well. I mean, he's been a massive loss over these last couple of games. So yeah, I mean, it's just real bad timing. I mean, if we can get Davison, on the same wavelength as McCurdy, then we've got every chance of doing, having a massive run, on the latter stage of the season. But at the moment, the relationship, the same wavelength, they're just not there at the moment, and that's unfortunately where most of the goals are going to come from. But it's it's just the mindset for being winners. Our defense don't have that at the moment, and the midfielders don't have that at the moment. We just look so, when we went one up, we just looked so nervous. And I had zero confidence that we was going to come out of that with 3 points. And but I didn't expect us to lose that game. I got to be honest.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ned. But I was just going to say, once the equaliser went in, the Exeter admin called it. He texted me going, "Hold on to your head, folks. There's a winner coming now." So they knew it.
Everyone knew he texted you?
No, he messaged, he tweeted. He didn't text me. I don't know.
Why are you pally with the Exeter admin?
I meant to say he tweeted, "Hold on to your hats, there's a winner coming." But that's something along those lines.
If I could pick up on a couple of things Ned said there, because I was making some notes actually as you were talking, and whether it's yourself, Ned, or one of the other guys want to jump in, I'll kind of open the floor. The first thing I want to touch upon is the situation with Reed. Yes, obviously a big miss, but he got sent off after the full-time whistle, having not been on the pitch. I mean, we have called some players out this season, whether it be for performances or for off-the-pitch antics. That's inexcusable, really.
There does seem to be an issue, ain't there? So we've got quite a lot of our yellow cards and stuff have been for dissent. I think half of those are probably Harry McCurdy, but and yeah, it is an issue. That's ill discipline, and you shouldn't be doing that. It's stupid, even if it's justified. You don't do it. It's I was amazed to hear that had happened at the end. What did he think he was going to achieve by doing that? The full-time whistle's gone. I know we all do things and say things in the heat of the moment. We're all human beings, and so's Reed. But that was just unforgivable. I think, because he's now suspended for what, 1-2 games, is it?
Yeah, he's out tomorrow. He's out tomorrow.
Yeah, just for tomorrow. So, and he's he's pivotal. I think he's been our best player this season. So
absolutely.
For those who have seen him, and I'm not fortunate enough to have, what's the thoughts on Barry? Because from the reaction online, I think mixed is an understatement.
I think he has not really had a chance to have an impact. I don't think the time he has played has been brilliant. But then I think
We haven't been as a team.
Yeah, well, exactly. And he's come on, I think both times he's come on, it's been a difficult situation as well. So the expectation is already there straight away. Oh, we've got this guy from Aston Villa who's going to come in and change the world for us. I think what probably hasn't helped with the Louis Barry situation is the fact that we were linked with him for so long. So he automatically, there's a weight of expectation onto him. I think he got a bit of too heavy criticism on Saturday, in my opinion. I don't think he didn't shine the light, but it was. I thought it was a difficult situation for coming. I can't remember how long he got. Was it about 15 minutes, 20 minutes? And I just think you can't judge a player in 20 minutes of football, especially when you're playing a team like Exeter, who were, in my opinion, dominating the game anyway. You only have to look at their shots. I think they had like 18 shots compared to. Have I cut out?
No,
I know what you're
it's
laughing
not
at.
you, Woody.
It's not you we're smiling at
mate,
this
no,
time.
no, don't.
Good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there either, because I'm not even connected to Wi-Fi. I'm connected to LAN, so I don't know why it cuts out. But now I've just worked out what you were smiling at. So I think we need to just give him a bit more time. He's not been brought in to like break the world record of anything, because he's a bit similar to Harry McCurdy in some ways. So I don't think we're going to be able to play McCurdy and Barry at the same time, the way I look at it. So I don't know, but I think it's unfair to criticise him so early on.
And bear in mind, the same situation as Davison. They haven't had much time. He hasn't had much time on the training ground either, has he? So, essentially, he's just a footballer. It could be, anyone coming on, do a job. You need to understand where everyone's going to be. You need to understand your triangles. You need to understand, where you expect it to run. And it's unfair to judge him after having like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 training sessions. I think that's really unfair. But he showed he was keen. He was he was full of energy. He was doing his running around. But once we get the tactics and understanding on the go, I think he's going to be absolutely fine.
One final point, picking up on your earlier comments, Ned, and I can then use it as a segue into the next topic. You mentioned the situation with now having Davidson compared to what we had with Simpson, and I completely agree. And to an extent, I accept what you say as well, because I always say you can't argue with fact, and that is fact. However, as someone who's quite often perceived by people to be, whether they want to use the phrase overly positive, doesn't want to be critical, happy clapper, sometimes even gets labelled. I know a few of you guys have had that as well. The only thing I would say, if I'm looking at it from the other side of the coin, is there was notice that Simpson was going back. So the club has had time. Now, I appreciate Davison himself might not have had as much time as he would have liked, but the club has had time to put something in place now, to whether it's change the game plan slightly or to put someone else there that they think can do a similar job. How long do we, you said there we've got another double header week this week, which we'll come on to later, and then hopefully the time will allow the work on the training ground. But as I say, that's another 2 games down the line where we're essentially saying we're not going to be anywhere near our best because we haven't had the time on the training pitch. But Simpson went back weeks ago now.
Yeah, with what you were saying about Simpson there, you'd have thought that they'd have, because we knew that he was going back, you'd have thought that had been the case from the start of the season, where we only had one solid striker up front. You'd think there's a chance he could be recalled. Let's keep an eye out for other strikers. So I'd imagine that would have been the case with the recruitment we've had so far with Ben Chorley. I'd imagine that he'd have had 2 or 3 strikers on his radar who he'd have been keeping an eye on. And obviously Davison must have been one of them. So I think from a recruitment perspective, I think they did all that they could, knowing that there was a chance that Simpson could get recalled in January.
I think it's unfortunate as well, because you think about it, they probably have had about 4 or 5 targets. But you can almost guarantee that 4 of them have already been snapped up by someone else, because obviously it's quite a length of time that we, that Simpson actually did go back. I said he would go back at the beginning of January, but obviously they took an extra 2 weeks before they called him back. But
they're probably hoping he'd sign a new contract. That was probably why there was a delay.
Yeah.
And then once they realised that he wasn't, because it's like Christmas, New Year, I don't know how it works, but once it got to the new year and he's like saying, no, I'm not signing, then they were like, right, that's it, you can come back.
Well, we've kind of been dancing around the subject, so let's talk about the manager himself now. And the reason I wanted to bring this up, with the results, we currently find ourselves in 8th, which isn't the best position to be in compared to where we now believe the squad is, but it's also not the worst position it could be in. Particularly after Saturday, for me, was the day I noticed a real turn in terms of the feeling online. I mean, there are actively people saying he should be sacked, which, no, for me, that is completely the wrong idea. And I'm happy to go on record and say anyone saying he's sacked is completely wrong. But what I can't disagree with is there are serious questions, and some of you guys have raised it, not just tonight, but in previous ones, about game management, lack of plan B/C, substitutions being questioned. And there is clearly a team there that is capable. There's clearly a coaching staff there that is capable. Do we think we're just on a bad run, or is there deeper rooted concerns for the way this season could go? And I did see one post which I found quite thought-provoking. Do we actually want to go up this year, or are we a season too early?
Absolutely not. I don't think you could ever be a season too early. No, no. We could spend years and years in this division. I know they're like saying, oh, we'll have some money next season, so that we can have a proper transfer window. But that after the embargo's lifted, but that doesn't mean anything. The last time we were down here, we spent loads of money under Flitcroft. That didn't get us anywhere. So I'd be very, I don't get that at all. No, we can go up, and if we got a chance to go up this season, we've got to take it, even if it means going up through the playoffs, which I absolutely dread. But yeah, I think that's wrong. I think the thing is, right, people say, oh, it's harsh that Garner's being criticised, but remember, in the first half of the season, we were praising him for the decisions he was making, the changes he was making at halftime, the substitutions and stuff like that. He was getting equal praise with the players, and now it's coming to this part of the season where he's not getting things right, and I think he's being justifiably criticised along with the players for these poor performances in his game management, his tactics, his substitutions. People saying he's doing the best with the tools he's got. As I've said before to you guys plenty of times in the WhatsApp group, I don't think he did the best with the tools he had in the first half of the season. I think we should have been a lot better, but he did do bearing in mind, he did do a good job, to get us where we were. But I don't think he should be sacked. I think he should, see how we get on to the end of the season. Unless he goes on an appalling run, I want to see him have a proper pre-season with the recruitment, with the training in place, start next season, see how he gets on, whether we're in League Two or obviously if we're in League One, then that's fine. But if we're still in League Two next season, I want him to have that chance and see what happens from August onwards. But no, I think, we've said for a long time, we want consistency, so, and hopefully we'll have it with the backroom staff, with as many players as we hope to keep, and I think with the manager, even though I think he's not performing, he's not getting the best out of the players, and he's certainly getting things wrong tactically.
Woody?
Those who him to be.
Okay, we'll try that again. Woody?
Back.
Yeah, it looks like it.
All right, okay. I don't know what is going on. I reckon it might be my work laptop. Not that I'm using my work laptop. I think those who are calling him to be sacked need their heads wobbled. The reason being, and I'm not saying that he's performing well. I'm not saying he's performing badly, but at the end of the day, his contract when he joined the club, his performance objectives would have been at that time. It's not the case now, I don't think. At that time would have been keep the club up. You're in here to keep the club up, and to get to sack somebody because they're 8th in the table when we told them to keep the club up. That's a lot of money we're going to spend on getting that person out of that contract. It's money that we don't need to spend. We're trying to keep hold of as much money as we can, and we can't afford to sack him. That's the be all and end all. We can't afford to sack him. He is with us for the rest of the season, unless, like Craig says, unless there's a real severe dip in form, he is with us for the rest of the season. On the other side of that, I don't think he deserves to be sacked. I think, yes, he needs to maybe have a look at what he's doing, review how we're performing, maybe liaise with his backroom staff a little bit more on what needs improving, liaise with Ben Chorley a bit about what free agents are out there and things like that. Yes, there's stuff to be done. I'm not denying there's stuff that needs to be done, but should he lose his job at the moment? No, we ain't got the money. We ain't got the money to anybody to lose their job. I can guarantee you that Anthony Grant would have been cheap to get rid of either. So let's keep hold of him. I'm not saying let's praise him every time he does something right, but as Craig said, he got good praise, but we were still performing badly at home in the first half of the season. So he's getting justifiable criticism, as are the players. But he doesn't deserve to lose his job. He's still got a shout of getting at least the playoffs if he can pull it out. It's week by week. We could win these next 2 games and then we'll be all singing his name again.
Yep. Ben?
Yeah, I think the bloke's earned enough credit over the start of the season to survive this bump. This is the first bump, not only in Ben Garner's, but in Clem Mulfooney's Swindon tenure, basically. This is the first real rocky patch where we've actually properly questioned what he's actually doing and his abilities. And he deserves to see the season out more easy. He deserves a budget next season. He deserves a proper crack at it because he's taken this job on, a club that was a mess, and he's done really well with it. And I think he deserves.
Has he done really well, or has he done well?
I think he's done, for the remit he had at the start of the season, he's done really well. I think Ben Chorley's pulled a blinder by signing the players that we've absolutely had, keeping Jack Payne, Johnny Williams, Ken Kessler, Hayden, all that. But no, Ken Kessler is, you've got to thank, that's all Garner. Garner brought Ken Kessler on. Garner brought Simpson on. Simpson was just a 19-year-old kid, and his performance has improved massively. So you can't fault his coaching. And as a manager, he's learning on the job. He's not done a full season yet.
And we got to bear in mind as well, like we always talk about stats and how useless stats are sometimes, like expected goals and all this crap. I think he does dwell on that a little bit too much. I'm not going to lie, because that, for me, those type of stats are coaches' stats. They're stats that we can use to have a look to say, right, where can we improve? But the biggest stat for me, he's won more games than he's lost. Yeah. He's still won more games than he's lost. So for me, that's, that, and I think I haven't done the actual maths behind it, but he's won more points than he's dropped. So that's the stats that matter at the moment, whilst we're trying to get through this first season under Clem. And I think this summer's transfer window is going to be the biggest. What we do this summer will be the biggest. It'll be bigger than last year. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with Ben. But yeah, sorry, Ben.
Yeah, that's right. Well, just say this season's a free hit to where we were at the start of the season.
I'm still sorry, Ben. I'm still reluctant to use that phrase. I don't like the phrase free hit. It's a competitive season. We have got a more than competitive squad. And as Craig said, if there is a chance for promotion, we should be going for it. It's not a free hit at all.
I kind of agree with you, but if it was going all out, all guns blazing, let's go for this, lads, we would have paid the embargo off in January and we would have splashed some cash out on some players. I think Clem's gone, right, we'll keep what we've got, we'll stick, we'll see where we are. We'll see where we are at the end of the season, what players stay, and then we'll build from that. And then hopefully we'll be in the playoffs and hopefully we'll be in League One. But if we're not, then we've bought the county ground. We've done so much good in and around the ground. We've built the steady foundations. We've done everything we set out to do, and we're ahead of schedule. And I think that's why he's not gone, well, I'll tell you what, here's £1,000,000, bosh, sort it out, get us out of this league, because he doesn't want to spend a stupid amount of money on a desperate signing just to get us out of this division when they could flop massively and be a massive hole into the wage budget. So he's just gone, right, we'll just play it safe. And that's why I say free hit, because Clem's not gone for it. He's not just gone, here you go, here's the budget, we'll pay it off.
I think behind the scenes though, Ben, obviously I can only speak on what I hear, but behind the scenes, that's not what they're thinking. Behind the scenes, they're wanting out of this league.
See, I don't know that.
And to throw into the mix there, I mean, it's all about perspective, because we're saying we're not, we've not paid off the embargo. We're not throwing, £1 million at players and that. But and I can only surmise because of reputation stuff. But signing Johnny Williams is not going to be for pennies. I'm sure he's earning a reasonable sum for a League Two footballer, and that's just one example.
Well, we've got an embargo that stops him getting more than a big sum. Apparently, more than £1,300 a week. So he's got to be on some sort of bonus, surely. But
I'd imagine that Johnny Williams' contract is heavily incentivized with appearance bonuses and stuff like that.
Every time he sets foot on the pitch.
Yeah.
That's why he was coming off after 60 minutes.
Every 90 minutes. Yeah, every 90 minutes.
Especially with it because of his international commitments as well, and obviously his injury record. I'd imagine that he's probably on the bog basic standard wage with appearance bonuses. Ben, could I just go back to what you're saying about that, Mulfuni hopefully will splash the cash in the summer, and a lot of our fans are in the same boat as you, think the same. I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to be a lot less restricted with who we can sign, but it's very rare at League Two, especially post-COVID, that people pay fees for players. The only ones who would be Salford or Forest Green, those sorts of clubs.
I don't think,
and we're not going to be. We're not going to be splashing the cash, mate, when it comes to in the season. We'll have better options, that's for sure, but we're not going to be paying much on transfer fees, I don't think.
I think we'll have one of the highest budgets in the league, and I think we'll pay like 100 grand for one player. I don't think we'll be doing like 400 grand for like a Massalonga or anything like that. I think we'll do bits, but we're not going to do Salford, but we'll do it steady, because we're still in debt.
Ned, I just want to bring you in, going back to the original question topic of Ghana, game management, etc. Obviously, as someone who does get down to his fair share of games, what's your thoughts on this particular subject?
Well, I think it might have been Ben mentioned. I think, him and Chorley are a victim of their own success, really, aren't they? If they've brought in sort of moderate players, then, we would have accepted anything, like mid-table mediocrity. But just the quality that they've brought in, you kind of expect minimum to be playoffs. You don't put Johnny Williams in League Two and expect them to, survive. I mean, it's just not the case. I mean, they haven't gone big on squad numbers, which is at this point, when you got quite a few injuries, unfortunate. But as you said, he's had his praise at the start. It's absolutely justified to criticize 100%. But anyone calling for his head is mental. I mean, it's crazy. But the thing that I'm excited for is for pre-season, what he does with the players pre-season, because, the difference that he's made to so many players over such a short period of time, in small little chunks here and there. It's very exciting. So you get him with a pre-season, you get him away for, 2-3 weeks, the Austrian camp, God knows. They're going to come back like championship players. As a coach, he's absolutely incredible. And, granted, there's going to be moments where, the management decisions might not be the best. But as Ben said, he's learning on the job. We need to give him time. But I'm very excited by Ben Ghana. Very excited. The only thing is that his style doesn't suit League Two. So if we can just scrape out of League Two, get into League One, I think we'll start to, be a bit more consistent. But it's just the one thing that he needs to do is figure out that, method or, style to take apart the shithouse teams, because that's the one thing for me that we're really struggling with, and just get past this mental block of winning games.
Just
Green do it.
one comment I have on something you said there, Ned, and I'm not suggesting it's my view as such, but something you said does match a couple of comments that I did see online. Williams was also considered a very good coach, wasn't a particularly good manager.
That's the thing. That's the route that we're worried that he's going to go down. I hope he doesn't. I'm
not suggesting he will.
Yeah. No, I know, but that's a fair point, Fifey, because now that he's going through this difficult phase, we're sort of like alarm bells are ringing. It's sort of bringing back memories of the Williams era, which is fair enough, because we know how that all panned out in the end. He had his spell at Bristol Rovers, which, all right, it was a short spell, but it didn't do too well there either. But as Ned, I think it was Ned was saying, he's got enough credit in the bank, I think, to justify, taking this team to the end of the season and seeing where we go. But that's the problem. It's whether he can be a good enough manager. There's no doubt that he's a quality coach, but is he going to be a good enough manager? Only time will tell, I think. But I think he should be given that time.
Also, as well, don't forget that Luke Williams didn't achieve anywhere near the win rate that that we've had with Ghana. So
that's exactly what I was about to say. Williams only won 20 games in 75.
So already for me, there is signs that he's better than Luke Williams for sure. But I appreciate the fact that he's a novice at being a manager. But as I said before, I'm very excited about pre-season. I cannot wait for that. That'd be awesome. Oh, here he is.
Bringing forward a topic that I'd actually had noted earlier, but I think it fits in quite well here. We obviously last spoke on deadline day, and we spoke about the players that were being linked, etc. Are we a bit surprised a week on that we've not seen sort of movement with free agents as such yet? I mean, obviously, the big name, if you like, in terms of Bulldog that was mentioned, obviously ended up down the road a little bit at another team.
Just me.
To anyone.
I don't mind Bulldog, because let's be honest, if you're going to choose League One or League Two, you're going to choose League One, and also it's close to his roots as well. So, he was always going to choose Oxford. He was always going to choose Oxford. Did he play for them as a youngster?
I'm not sure.
I mean, there's a lot of his family come from there. So
I think his brothers work for Oxford as well.
Yeah, that was always going to be the case. If it was the option of Swindon or Oxford, he was always going to go to Oxford, unfortunately.
So on the wider subject about a week removed from deadline day, there's not been any movement in terms of free agents. Is that something of a surprise?
I personally don't think so, because when you think about it, I mean, unless they've been, training with football teams, it's going to take ages for them to get up to speed. And our concern with Davison, I mean, he has been playing. I mean, granted, he hasn't been playing very well, and he's been carrying an injury, but he has been playing. If we was to sign up like the player that I said, Yaya Sanogo, who hasn't been playing, it's going to take him months to get up to speed. So I'm not surprised that we're not going down the free agent route, if I'm completely honest, because it's too much of a gamble, and it's going to take too long to affect our season. That's what I think, but I'm not sure what anyone else thinks.
Well, it's not much of a surprise for me that we haven't got any more. That's it. It's done now. We're going to have to make the best with what we've got, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's it. Well, post Crawley, I think the manager was quite chirper about getting someone, but then as soon as old mate he's gone to Oxford, he's gone. No, today he's like, no, it's not. That's it. Not interested. No one. So there's nothing out there that will improve our team. So this is what it is. So that's that. No more in.
And are you expecting to see anyone at all, or do you think that's it, Ben?
Yeah, no, that's it. No, there's no one. There's no one the clubs could be linked to. That's it.
Christian, welcome to tonight's episode. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. You can start the meeting now. I see you got all the rose tinters and the optimistic ones in, so let's have a little bit of balance to the fucking argument.
Well, we're just you've joined us at the time. We've just been discussing Ghana and game management, etc. And then I've just brought in the deals that were done over the transfer window, and perhaps we've not fully finished addressing weak areas for this campaign.
Nah, it's the same all the time. Sam Baldock was never an option, was he? It's one of those where they just throw a name in just to keep the fans happy. It's happened with Jan Fjortov's coming back, Tommy Mooney's coming back. Oh, we might be getting Sam Baldock. It's just putting a spin out there just to try and get the fans excited. There's worrying signs that we're going down the same like Poundland route that we did under Power. To be honest with you, we're not signing players, and it's a worrying thing. We're taking a punt on new guys. We got three. That Barry doesn't look like he's up for this league. To be honest with you, time will tell. But nah, disappointing. But it's what we've become used to.
Okay. One bit of news that came out of the club today, and that's another injury, unfortunately, for Lydon. I know most, if not all of you, are fans of what he is capable of when fit and on the pitch. And reading between the lines, it looks like his season's done, Ben.
Yeah, no, bad really for him. It's not one that's usual. It's usually his hamstrings and that go, but this is an Achilles rupture, which is quite bad. He's going to end this season. He's not going to come back from that. That's probably his last game for the club as well, which is a shame. A player that's, I think, a promising young player at Villa. He's been at 3 clubs, I think, us, Swindon and Oldham. He was a player that
Us, Swindon and Oldham?
Us, yes, Villa, Swindon and Oldham. Yeah, he could have.
This is you with your mates in the Exeter admin again, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? He could have had a really good season. He could have been a really, really, really good player. But I think, poor bloke. He's never had a season-long season where he's played 40-odd games to continue his development, and it's stop and start. It's surprising that he's got as good as he did. And whatever he does, I hope his next club's decent and he gets to look after himself. But I think he might be non-league next.
Would he?
Mm.
You never want to see that happen to any player, really. But I think it is a shame because when Grant went, we thought, okay, we're going to miss Grant massively, but we can put Lydon in there, and now we're in kind of that position where we go, have we actually got enough midfielders? So it's but yeah, it is a shame. I do wish him the best because he's a decent guy as well, to be fair, Jordan Lydon as well. But but unfortunately that's why we got him, because he would have been a lot cheaper because of his injury record. And like Ben said, he's a great player when he was on his day. But I agree. I don't think we're seeing wear a Swindon shirt anymore, which is a shame. I never want to see any player really go out with a long-term injury, if I'm brutally honest. So I send my best out to him either way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And either of you other 3 gentlemen, anything to add on Lydon at all?
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? I mean, he's a young player. How old is he? 23?
23, 24. He's mid-20s now.
It looks as if his career's just not going to pan out as a professional footballer, really, with that injury record. He was quite good, when he first came to us, really, in midfield up until he got injured. But yeah, it's a shame. But it's sort of, in a way, it's like it's the end of the old period where we used to sign on injury-prone players. Apart from Conroy, who seems to have getting through, the whole season. Touch wood so far. Not that he's been in the best form of lately, but yeah. It's in a way with him, with Lydon gone, even though it's sad for him, it's an opportunity to free up some wages for someone else at the end of the season. I think it sounds a bit callous but that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Football's a brutal game. You can only have 11 players on the pitch at a time. So yeah, it's yeah, it's sad for him. I saw his Instagram, and he's absolutely gutted. He is. So yeah, I can't imagine what he's going through at the moment.
Can I just ask, because I don't really follow all the medical side and everything of players, and so I'm not sure. I know he gets injured quite a bit. Is it the same area that he's getting injured in all the time, or because at 23 you'd think your bones and everything, your ligaments could all get repaired, surely, but is it the same area?
No,
Is he got?
so
Not this time. It's not.
No, not
normally
this
it's
time.
his, normally
I
it's
think
his
he was
hamstrings
before.
from
It was
memory.
he was getting the same injury before, but this time it was a different one.
It's 26 as well. 26.
26.
Oh, Christ. Oh, okay.
26 is no age, though, is it? Really, you know,
Yeah.
your bones
think-
and everything and your muscles should all, or they should all be able to.
Well,
I think as
you
well,
say
I
that,
think
Christian, but I'm only 6 years older, and my ankle ligaments are still suffering a bit from my New Year's Eve injury. So
You and Johnny
it's not
like that.
easy.
You
I
feel
think
Johnny's
as well,
pain.
though, I think it's a bit gutting for him because his injuries weren't managed properly previously,
No.
and now they took their time trying to get him back in, and it's got to be gutting when you're really trying. I mean, I speak to, obviously, as you guys know, I speak to Ali, and I know that they went through so much work to try and get him back fit, weren't going to rush him back, and then an Achilles injury as well, of all things. That could happen to anybody, an Achilles injury, and it's one of the worst injuries in football because, as I think the guys on the supporters panel said earlier, that's a 6-monther, and it's nearly 3 months before you're walking properly on it again. So it's a shame.
What's he got left on his contract?
It's last year. That's it. It's gone.
It's gone, has it?
Yeah, it's half this season.
Let's move on to the very sad news last week of the passing of Steve Finney. Christian, you actually came on at a good time, because I know you had a lot to say when this news broke last week.
Sorry, me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't remember what I said, to be honest. But he was a catalyst for an immediate return. Where the town were in freefall. They've gone from the Premier League relegated to the second tier, and then relegated straight away to the third tier. We're all panicking, thinking, "What the frig's going on here?" But Finney was one of those strikers that came in and made a difference, a little bit like Maskell did, but obviously the next tier up. He was a bit of an unknown quantity. We didn't really know what he was going to bring to the side. I think he was quite a prolific scorer for Man City reserves, so there was a little bit of excitement about him. But he came in and he did a great job. To be fair to him, real sad loss. 48 is no age, is it?
No age at all.
It's shocking, really sad. I don't know really what else to say on that. I'm not sure what the circumstances are, behind his death, and it's probably not the place to discuss it. But Jesus, these guys, we're losing some greats, aren't we? Him, like some McLaughlin, John Gittins. Wow, these are people that you saw. Certainly, the guys of a certain age, like myself, Craig.
Craig's delighted that you make sure you always put him in that umbrella every time you say that.
That's all right. With age comes wisdom, doesn't it, Christian?
I was about to add Ben to it, and then I was thinking about who's Ned as well. I don't know if Ned's at that sort of age, but guys,
we're not though, are we, Woody?
I got a signed Steve Finney shirt somewhere. That was one of the first seasons I properly started to go and watch Swindon. I got a photo and a signed shirt somewhere. But
Hold on to that, mate.
Yeah, but these are guys that we sort of grew up, and they were young footballers, and they're all, well, touch wood, it's not going to happen to any more or many more, but they're all just sort of unfortunately passing away at such a young age.
Especially so soon after Jamie Vincent as well, at a similar age.
I forgot Jamie Vincent, but another great professional.
it makes you think, though, you know, Christian, you say about our age, it's not that far off our age, really, is it? You know, you think, Christ, you know, it certainly puts things in perspective. And I mean, it does with any death, but when it's that young, you think, crikey. But I mean, going back to that season under Steve McMahon, that Steve Finney, you know, he formed a formidable partnership with Wayne Anderson. I think, you know, at the time, I don't know if it was the same for you, Christian, and Ben, and Ned, and it was. I hadn't seen Swindon in the third tier before. I started watching them. The first season was when they were in the second tier, so I only knew them as a first tier team. So it's like going into the third tier, I was like, oh God, this is rubbish. You know, are we going to bounce back? Are we going to drop down to the fourth division? And I mean, you know, that was one hell of a team that Steve McMahon had. There was some real good players, some really good experienced players who used to play at the top tier, and you know. We won that league, and we should have won that league with that squad. You know, it would have been a travesty if we didn't. And Steve Finney was a big part of that. You know, I think he got 20 goals that season, or 50, it might have been 15, 16, along with Allison.
16 six in my head.
It was a good partnership, and his goals along with Allison was key to us bouncing straight back up. And of course, you know, the Steve Finney song was, you know, that's well known. And I was glad to hear it on the radio on Saturday. I could hear them singing Steve Finney's name, which is absolutely great. And just, you know, thoughts are obviously with his family and friends at this time.
Yeah, because every club has clubs which are maybe performing below what their natural level is. Have all got these heroes that are. Oh, try to think of a way to say it, but not. Well, let's use, for example, West Bromwich Albion. West Bromwich Albion have had some great players, brilliant players, but one of their unsung heroes of all time would be Bob Taylor. And Bob Taylor did nothing in the top two tiers, but he was phenomenal in the third tier for them, and they recognise him for that. You know, players. It'll be like players like Anthony Grant as well for us, to be fair. That, you know, we'll remember in the future. And Finney is another one of those. So Finney as a striker, you can remember Finney as a Jan Arge Fjortoft or a Duncan Shearer or you know, or even a Craig Maskell or Alan Mays. But you know, you're gonna remember him for what he did at that level, and you know, he should rightly be talked about, you know, in highest esteem.
Well, his breakthrough season, first team football, was Swindon's, you know, his first season at Swindon. Scored 16 goals, is an unbelievable feat. His very first game, he scored the winner, that diving header against Hull. Was brilliant. You know, I remember belting his name out in the town end. There's only one Stephen Finney. It was brilliant. He was like, we had a hero again after a couple of years of really shit. You know, we'd been relegated fourth. We should have been. There usually only 3 get relegated from the Championship, but that year 4 went down because of the restructure.
And that was on the back of being the you know, Coca-Cola Cup League Cup semi-finalist and being that fucking close to being the final against Liverpool.
15 minutes away from Wembley. You know, if
we took the lead, didn't we? We took the lead, and it wasn't on like nowadays when you've got all the football on at the time. So that match, Swindon Bolton away, I think we went there with a 2-1 lead, did we?
We did. I was at that game.
We were 3-1 up.
Lynon came on and scored twice, didn't he?
Yeah, we were 3-1 up.
I had to listen to it. Well, they didn't even have it as the main match on the radio where I was living, but BBC 5 like switched to it, and said, "Oh, and Swindon are coming back into the game, and Jan Fjortoft has scored." So we went like 3-1 ahead on aggregate. You know, wouldn't you have rather lost our proud Wembley record at Wembley to against Liverpool than fucking, who did we lose it to? Millwall, weren't it?
Millwall, yeah, Millwall's done it.
Oh,
yeah. That second leg was fucking freezing at Bolton's old stadium. That was on the terraces. But I do remember, even as cold as it was, Steve McMahon wearing shorts on the subs bench. It's just like, he was mental, wasn't he? He was absolutely mental.
He got sent off on his debut, didn't he? He played his very first game as manager against Southend away. He was sent straight off.
Mhm.
Very good. I mean, at the time, I think there was a lot going on behind the scenes, and there was a lot of anger and directed towards both the board, Ricky Hunt, and him, and we didn't kick on from going back up. And then our first season, I think we started like an absolute rocket, didn't we? And then all of a sudden we dropped off right down the league. Yeah, it's a shame. I've still got fond memories of those times, and I think there were players at that time that were released, club legends that were released by McMahon, that probably needed to be released, to be honest with you. So I don't hold him to account for that. You know, Sean Taylor. Should Sean Taylor have played in the Premier League? Not really. Not really. It was a step too high for him. I think McMahon at least had the balls to come in and do that and make those changes. There were a lot of changes he got wrong. A lot of the club furniture, I think, like John Trollope and the like, that was a bad move. Getting rid of them. But
Fraser Digby, Martin Ling, that was a load of the old club he got rid of.
I just want to, if I can, as he's been firmly labelled in that same umbrella, give Ned the opportunity, if he wants to add anything on Vinny specifically, as I echo the sentiments that Craig said about, obviously, everyone here to his friends and family. But Ned, obviously, if there's anything else you want to add as well.
Well, no, I think everyone's sort of said everything already. But yeah, we've all got memories, and Steve Finney. Oh, I thought he was having a piss again. What the fuck? Yeah, I mean, he's a player that will stick out for many years to come. For me personally, you know, anyone of sort of my age, because of the song, because, you know, he was like, for me, he was a bit of a chalky white figure. He probably wasn't the most skillful player in the world, but he was, you know, he did the job, you know, and it's, you know, it's just incredibly sad. Age of 48, absolutely scary stuff. You know, obviously, you know, there's multiple people on the panel getting dangerously close to that age. Yeah, I mean, it's just incredibly sad. Just a short illness, whatever that illness is, I don't know. But and then, it's just horrendous.
No, absolutely.
Another thing you used to do, another little memory you used to do, I don't know if anyone can remember, if you ever sat close enough near the front of the stand or near the front of the town and everything, the amount of times if he didn't get a ball played to him, fucking hell! You've never heard anyone shout fucking hell as often as Steve Finney used to do.
You're a proper northerner, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, that is a memory of him. Fucking hell!
And I guess the memory will live on as well, because he was my answer for about 7 seasons in our quiz we did earlier on at the start of the season. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, sorely missed.
Stevie Finney.
Yeah,
absolutely. A change of pace then, and Woody, just an update as we can each week on the women's teams, please.
An awful weekend for the women's. This is where I want my internet to cut out, to be honest. My team lost, and they're no longer 100% league record.
There was mitigating circumstances, though, I read for that.
Yeah, but for me, it's not the opposition's problem, but I only had 9 players. And because we had beaten the team 7-0 a few weeks ago.
That's not usually a problem, 9 players.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. But so I said to him, the manager did offer to me, to be fair, to say, I can drop down if you want. And because I had that scoreline in my head, I thought, it'd be a good challenge for the girls, 9 against 11. They used to being outnumbered in training and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, and it was literally the last kick of the game that won them literally the last kick of the game. So I was a bit gutted about that, but at the same time, it was a good effort from the girls against a big squad. The development lost to Chipping Sodbury, who they beat 4-0 a couple of weeks ago. So it's another one. And then the first team, who started really promising yesterday. Were 0-0 at half time, and I thought, actually, do you know what? We could nick this because Chesham are quite a decent side at women's football. And then they just fell apart in the second half, and they lost 3-0. So a really really bad weekend for Swindon women. But here's what did you say? Ned?
He just went, sounds familiar, out of complete nowhere. Ned's taking shots again.
But yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame.
And what do fans of the women's teams have to look forward to this week?
Good question.
Come on, you let us down last week, and we had to fill for you. Surely you're prepared this week.
I'm not gonna lie. I know who I've got. I've got Derry Hill. But no, I'll have to come back to it in a minute. I did have it before the call as well. I had it in my head, but it's gone now. It's gone.
Okay. Well, we do have two games this week of the men's to discuss, but before we do, we've got Woody's favourite feature. Exeter.
Because I said that what we should have done is what Christian, I think, alluded to last week with the Cheltenham game when Cheltenham played Swindon.
Play it the same day.
We should have done that on Saturday because they've now got Exeter next week at home. So it would have been an ideal opportunity, but it is what it is.
Well, we actually have a very full mailbag to discuss with 5 questions submitted tonight. So I hope you are all ready for this. We're going to start, if I may, with recent friend of the show, Daz, who submitted a question for us. I say that we actually have a couple of extras being submitted as well, but while we've been recording, so we'll try and fly through these as best we can. My concern with Daz is, and I'm going to ask it out of respect, but my concern is, as we've discussed before, the focus here is in the wrong place, but I think the way he's worded it is okay. So his question is, to you personally, which would be worse? Losing to Oldham and John Sheridan, or losing to Scunthorpe and Anthony Grant scoring the winner? Or if you can only pick one of the two to win, which are you picking? So I'll go in the order you appear on my screen. Ben.
I'd much rather Anthony Grant score. And I would love to put nail in John Sheridan's car. I'd nothing against Oldham, but I'd love to send him down.
Would it?
Yeah, I'd much rather see Grant score.
Ned?
Yeah, Grant score. Give him a round of applause.
Oh, could you give him a round of applause?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't clap him.
I would. Fuck it.
Craig?
Sorry, what was the options again, 5V?
So which would be worse, losing to John Sheridan's Oldham or losing to a Anthony Grant winner against Scunthorpe?
What would be worse for me as a fan?
For you, which would be worse?
Yeah, probably losing to Sheridan. Yeah.
Christian? Oh, hang on, you're muted.
Mute.
It's a great question, but it's an obvious answer. You know, you're going to choose the general to score against Swindon. To be honest with you, if he did score against his Shara shit, I'd probably join him in doing a knee slide right up to fucking Garner's dugout.
Adebayor-esque.
Huh?
Adebayor-esque when he scored against was it Arsenal he scored against?
We're not playing for nothing anymore, you know. And you know, I think I'd join him in a celebration. And John Sheridan, best of luck to him. He had his issues at Swindon. He's had his problems, mental health issues. I don't dislike the bloke, to be honest with you, and I wish him all the best at Oldham.
So I will ask you as best as you can, because I know if I ask for one-word answers, Ben gets carried away and then Woody takes the piss. Charlie has asked, what are your thoughts on the last months of the league? Can we make the playoffs, Ben?
One word.
Ideally.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Woody?
Yeah.
Woody, nice. Ned?
Should.
Yes. Craig?
Yeah.
Christian?
No 12th.
12th. The next question submitted came from our very own Ned, so I'll actually let him answer it first if you want. I'm going to phrase it slightly different because you could pick anyone the way you've worded it. Okay, so realistically, if you could swap, I'm just going to do League Two if that's okay. And it was
Oh,
you. All right.
I've got my picks.
Ned's actual question reads: if you could swap 2 players from any League 1 or 2 team for 2 of our own to make our team champions, who would they be and who would you swap them for? Ned.
Right. So I've gone for. Sorry.
And I'm banning any Sunderland player because Kieran will go berserk.
Okay. Well, I haven't picked Sunderland. I've gone for get rid of Davison, who's obviously cropped already.
No, hang on. What? Half an hour ago, you were saying all good things about Davison.
Hey, but I'm getting Freddie Ladapo from Rotherham as a agile hold-up player who can score goals.
Okay.
Sorry.
And
and I'd
second?
get rid of Gladwin and bring in Scott Twine. That would be my 2.
Okay. Let's mix it up a bit and go Christian.
No, I'm still writing. Go to the next one first.
Still right, Woody.
I would ship out Harry Parsons on loan somewhere.
It's got to be first team. So that's what you should have
He's
specified.
first team. He's got a squad number. All right. Send, as much as I want to give him a chance, send Davison back. Bring in Cole Stockton from Morecambe. And just because of his stats this year, I'd probably bring back Scott Twine and get rid of Gladwin, same as Ned, to be honest.
Craig.
Yeah, probably not too far from Ned. I'm just going to be lazy and say Twine for Gladwin, and probably controversial, but I'll go Kessler Hayden for Rob Hunt.
Ben.
Right.
Look at Woody's face.
I'm gonna stick to what I know.
Okay.
And Jaden Mitchell-Lawson for the he's in the Championship now. I don't know. Jaden Mitchell-Lawson for a very good striker. I was going to say Jerry Yates. He's in the Championship now, so a striker that's doing rather well in League One. I don't keep track of League One because we're not in it.
Oh, Stockton.
Yeah, Stockton, that's the lad. The one Morecambe, that's it. Stockton, he can be up front. So yeah, Mitchell Lawson. And yeah, I'll get Twiney back because he's best player in League One.
Christian, have we filled enough time for you?
Yeah, absolutely. If I can just start with Twine, Twine's not one of my 2 choices because Twine doesn't really stand out in a poor squad. So I don't know what difference he would make if he came back. I think if the team is playing well, Scott Twine plays well. If the team's playing shite, Scott Twine plays shite. He doesn't grab a game by the scruff of the neck. So he's not one of mine.
Did all right last season and we were shit.
Pardon?
Did all right last season and we were shit.
Did all right. A couple of long-range goals, but the amount of times he went missing as well, mate. He's got an obvious quality there, but you ask him...
The times he went missing was when Sheridan didn't pick him.
Obviously wasn't running fast enough or slow enough.
Go on, mate, give us your 2 picks.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Steve.
Fucking hell.
I would drive Dion Conroy to the fucking other side of the world and swap him with Will Boyle, the centre half and captain at Cheltenham Town of League One.
Oh, you do surprise me.
Ben Gladwin. I don't hate him. He's lazy. You know, he can be asked sometimes. Sometimes he can't. Strolls around the pitch like he owns it. Needs to roll up his sleeves.
Until you mentioned the pitch, you were basically describing me. Sometimes can be asked, sometimes can't. Lazy.
So, yeah, we'll get rid of Gladwin and we'll probably get the best striker in League One, and that's Alfie May
Cheltenham
of Cheltenham Town.
Really glad that we waited for that. But thank you.
He's not even in double figures yet.
Doesn't matter. It's hang. Whoa! Don't move on, Fifey. Hold on. Who said that? Woody. Right.
How can you be the best striker in top? How can you be the best striker in a league and not be in double figures at this stage of the season?
2 reasons. Cheltenham have about 4 or 5 strikers, and Swindon have 1.5. Okay.
What about everybody else? What about everybody else in League One? What about Ross Stewart? What about Michael Smith? What about Matt Taylor?
Michael Smith.
Marcus is actually doing all right.
16 goals.
He's a fucking dart player, you twat.
But he's a darts player, and he still scored more goals than Alfie May.
He's on the
Yeah,
panel.
It's all okay. Hang on, Alfie May will sit just in front of the midfield, pick the ball up, and run and cause havoc. If that means playing a pass to
sorry to interrupt. I might be being a bit controversial here, but so would Scott Twine.
No.
And Scott Twine's got 13 goals.
He's a midfielder.
The benefit of following to Scott Twine, Callum Wright would absolutely piss all over Scott Twine. I'm really sorry. Callum Wright, who's on loan from Leicester, is a far better midfielder than Scott Twine.
Well,
He
yeah,
could
but
fit
let's
in from
not
Leicester.
forget he can't get in a Leicester team that just got absolutely dicked by Forest despite playing all their best players.
Let's remember this conversation, because in a year or two we'll see where Callum Wright and Scott Twine are, and you can all apologise to me.
Do you think in a year or two we'll still be doing this? I do hope so.
I think so. I hope so.
Excellent.
Well, if you drop the women's football and the fantasy football out of it, probably. Otherwise, it's going to go to shit.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. You don't want to hear the feedback I receive why people don't watch it, Christian.
I can imagine 40-year-old virgins.
we got two questions submitted by Ocus Road, who does like a question to be answered by the panel, and he kind of submitted them one straight after the Crawley game and one ahead of the Exeter. So I'm interested in your thoughts. So the first one, we have been talking about Garner tonight, and his question is, Garner's constant moaning about referees who must all know what he's saying, in his opinion, affects 50-50 decisions going against us. He would rather that he comes out and shows some passion. He just comes across as boring. Do you agree? Is it complaining about referees too easy and too consistent, Ben?
You know what? I kind of agree with that, because he's always on at the fourth official. He's always moaning, and it's always someone else's fault with Garner. So I actually do agree. Human element, if you're going to keep going on at him, if there's a split 50-50 decision, referee's not going to give him any favours. So I actually kind of get that. If you're going to keep chirping away, you're just going to piss them off. They're not going to change their decision. You can put your grievances and also writing to the FA after, oh, you did terrible, here's a video, constantly writing, and they're not watching the video, they're chucking them away. That's also going to have a deterrent effect, because they're all the referees going to be talking about Garner's pro.
Ned?
So I think so.
I think the refereeing's been absolutely shit, so I'll be exactly the same. So I ain't got a problem with him moaning about it. It's nice to hear his view, but no, I don't agree personally.
Okay, Craig?
I think if you're going to, if you want to influence the referee your way, you got to do it properly and fucking intimidate them. It's all right whinging and moaning at the fourth official, but
Warnock just stand there in front of them like that.
That's it. Yeah, do a Neil Warnock, Steve Evans, that sort of thing. You know, if you want to influence them and not piss them off and end up having decisions go against you, you need to get in their faces and proper intimidate them.
I've just got images now of him ripping off one of the plastic chairs and charging at you like a wrestler.
But that's what I mean. If he's going to do that, if he's going to do it fucking properly, or just sit down and shut up. You know, that's the way I see it.
Christian?
Yeah, you need to be in that fourth official's ear all the time. Another manager, I won't mention his name, that I watch a lot, is always in that fourth official's ear. He hates it. The fourth official always hates it, but it makes the officials, the ref, and all the other officials realise that you are dialed into the game, you know, and it doesn't give you time to rest. If you've got a lukewarm Williams or a Ben Garner like stood or sat there like a bit of a pleb that's just come out of college and got a frigging certificate in I can run a football team, you don't give a shit. You don't care about him. He just sat there. You know what I mean? Sat there watching the game and oh yeah, we'll play him then. We'll play him then. We'll move that. Bollocks. You need that passion that the Steve Evans is. Great chap, Steve Evans, the Michael Duffs, the managers like that, the Steve Cottrells have got, and they are constantly dialed in that fourth official's ear.
I purposely say due to last, Woody, because I also want to know: are you constantly giving it all this through a game?
Evidently not. Looking at the results.
I used to, but then I realised that my 69% win rate just comes from scoring goals as opposed to getting in the referee's ear. But the no, I mean, it's funny you say that, because as a coach / manager, I've had more bookings or sending offs than I did when I was playing for, arguably in adult football for 5 years. So, yeah, because I wasn't really a great footballer. But I have to admit, I was sat there, I tuned in after the Exeter game, and I thought, oh, here we go. What's he going to, because I thought the ref was really good against Exeter. And I thought, what's he going to say? What? And to be fair to Garner, this is probably the first interview where he didn't mention the officials. I do agree with the intimidation tactic, but the thing,
Woody is currently being intimidated by his technology again.
But yeah, I do agree that intimidation can sometimes work. Oh, I'm going, and I've gone.
No,
you're in.
See, I only get internet connection unstable when I'm actually able to talk to people.
We were all desperate for you to finish that point, though. How quick we were like, no, you're still there.
No, yeah. So intimidation, but unfortunately, intimidation won't work anymore. I don't think. Apart, Steve Evans has got that. He's a good. I like it for what he does, but that's because it's in his character now. If Garner just switched a button like that, the referees would just look at him and go, fuck off. It's So we'll wait and see.
His second question: do we need to go back to a back four now that we have signed 2 decent centre halves? And then he went as far as telling me what his suggestion of an 11 would be. But let's stick with the question generally, Ben. Given the signings we've made, should we be playing a back four?
I wouldn't mind just doing something different than 5-3-2 or 3-5-2 and going 3 up top, possibly playing.
So that's the complete opposite of the question being asked, but okay.
Yeah.
He's asked about the back four. You want a front three?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, but I'll be quite happy to see a back three if we're going 3-4-3.
You'd be quite happy to see a back three if we're going 4-3-3.
Yeah, 3-4-3, 3-4-3.
Would he?
I don't know. I generally don't know. I think, those two, it might work, but then have we got fullbacks that are good enough? No, if I'm honest. I think try and stick with what we've got at the moment. Let's go 3 and just improve going forward.
Christian?
Yeah, I think at the moment, in this climate and football nowadays, especially at our level, it's a tired old formation, the 4-4-2. It very rarely gets paid. Teams now are going back to where they were in the 60s and 70s, where you had wing backs. Ours aren't very good, but that's the evolution of football. I personally wouldn't go to 4-4-2. I'd stay as we are, but make sure the players are fucking better at doing it.
Craig?
Yeah, I agree with Christian and Woody. Keep it as it is. Only go 4-4-2 if we absolutely have to, because we haven't got enough centre backs.
Ned?
What? So you're saying 4 centre backs?
You get 4 at the back, centre backs or fullbacks.
Well, we've got 3 decent centre backs, so I'd rather have to stick the 3 decent centre backs in. I mean, who'd you drop?
I wasn't saying to drop. I'm just saying if we because of injuries, we out of necessity we had to play.
Have we got 5 centre backs at the minute?
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way that we would ever change from 3 centre backs now. Garner's made that perfectly clear. He's not going to change, but I would personally still stick with the 3 centre backs. In the 3-5-2 or some kind of hybrid.
Sorry, carry on then.
I would somehow, I know that this wouldn't work, but I would somehow try and get a 3 4-3 involved, where you would have, maybe one of Gladwin or Williams be more up top. So we got 3 up top, but it wouldn't work. So that's why I'm not manager.
The way Glenn Hoddle played when he was player manager at the club, with his sweeper role, the way he played then was revolutionary. Every team was playing 4-4-2 before. If you watch the Swindon Sunderland playoff final in 1990, you'll see 4-4-2, and that's how every team was playing a rigid 4-4-2. Glenn Hoddle came in with that system. And that's the system he had for England, and that's the system a lot of the top continental clubs, use now to this date. He was first to post with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
he got that from Wenger at Monaco.
Wenger at Monaco, yeah. Wenger at Monaco.
What we're doing now, the idea is right, but the execution, and I hope our players watch this and get this.
I'm sure they all do. They wait for it to go out on YouTube, and then it's one of the team meetings. They just play this.
Ben Garner's going to play this on Friday night.
If they do, the execution is absolutely shit. Because what you're doing, what you're supposed to do, is invite pressure onto yourself. Invite pressure, but when you've invited that pressure, then you play the ball out of defence. Oh shit! Sorry, I'm dead. Hang on. You are drawing your opposition's midfield into your defensive area and creating the space for your midfielders to fucking attack. And this bunch of idiots, do not get that. Don't seem to get that. They invite the pressure on and then do what Conroy did against Man City and said, "Oh, here you go, have a fucking free shot at goal." So if you're going to do it right.
Yeah, but the difference with that team and this one is that it wasn't tippy tappy at the back. There, it was tried to pass it, and not only that, Glenn Hoddle would play the long balls, but as in long passes forward. Whereas we haven't got that option at the moment. We haven't got a Glenn Hoddle who could do that.
We could be like 2 players that can pass to each other. No,
The final question in today's mailbag is anonymous. I haven't been given a name for this one, but it's regarding matters off the pitch. Now Highworth isn't happening, what should Town do regarding a training ground / new home for the academy? Go in reverse order this time. Woody?
Oh, I didn't want to go first. I'd like to see us use Foundation Park a bit more when it's when it's fully developed. It would be nice if we could have a cash injection somewhere to, whether it be develop a current facility and make that our hub. I think, dare I say it, and this pains me to say it, Power was probably onto the right way of thinking with what he wanted to achieve with that training facility. But it would probably have been too large a dream.
He didn't want to achieve that, mate. He didn't want to achieve that.
Okay, what he told everybody he wanted to achieve.
That's it.
So I think we need a hub. We need a hub. If we're going to progress as a club, we need a hub. We need somewhere decent to train. But it'd be good if we could have something similar to Foundation Park, where the community can use it, so it's a money maker as well. It can't go anywhere near the ground, obviously, because there's not enough area to build. So we probably would be looking going ahead and out of town. The original idea when Terry Brady was in, when he said about developing the lawns, not the lawns, the what do they call it, like the garden at the front gardens or whatever they call it. And they said, and they didn't do anything because of that endangered newt species, and then they built fucking Witchelstowe on it. But yeah, we just need to find something like that and just develop it. And that could be a hub for all of our academy teams. If the women's team are under there at that point, the women's teams as well, maybe even have a better link with the foundation, because that foundation facility is top notch. So if we can get something that's, arguably a little bit better, because it would need to host more teams, that'd be fantastic. But that's quite a pipe dream.
Ned?
Yeah, I agree with Woody. I think it pains me to say it because I love the place, but Swindon Cricket Club is unfortunately targeted as a obvious place that they could use for increasing the amount of space for training. But at the same time, I think that's probably going to be used more for building things that we can make money from, i.e. hotel and everything else, if they're going to stay where they are. But maybe this is the plug for knocking down the Oasis and using that sort of, because that's a massive area as well. If you include all the car park and everything else, absolutely just flatten that and just make our training facility there. I can't really think of many other places that is big enough to to store.
I've heard that the club, when the county ground purchase is made, that they're also going to get the cricket club as included, and the cricket club might well end up being a bit like, I'm not going to name them at the F420, a bit like MK Dons, where they've got like a bowling centre and a hotel and a casino and that sort of thing, that the club will open, so that will be revenue for the club. And as in terms, if that wasn't going to happen, I'd have where the cricket ground is, that's where like a training centre, a few pitches, and knock the trees down behind and just grow from round there up to Tesco.
Knock the trees down.
Yeah, knock the trees down.
He's a disgrace, isn't he? He's absolute Ben.
And the Bowls Club as well. Don't forget the Bowls Club.
Yeah, knock that down.
That's already going anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
I love fox hunting T-shirt on the next one, mate. Jesus Christ.
Get rid of them and just and do it there. But I think that's going to be a complex anyway, and it'll do it. So knock the Oasis down. No one goes there anymore.
Not the Oasis down. How bloody dare you?
The thing is, just on that point, we can't knock the Oasis down because it's a key part of my Swindon Monopoly board game.
And it's a listed building now.
It's been listed saved now, isn't it? It's officially saved, isn't it, the Oasis?
Well, they say it's been saved, but there's no way that they could, keep it and turn it into a. It's already been confirmed that they listing it now.
Can we not get into a discussion on the Oasis? Because that's going to drag around.
We're supposed to be discussing the future of Swindon Town training and development. Plus, Ben's doing something weird with his hands, and Christian's actually waiting very patiently to make his point on the matter.
I'm happy to have the Oasis conversation, to be honest with you.
I think that's a story for another day, given we've already been going like nearly an hour and a half.
Save the dome, knock the rest of it down, and then rebuild that.
Right.
Training ground around the dome.
Right. So how about training and development, Christian?
Can you just hang on a second, please, Steve? I'm talking. The actual dome, the dome is fine. You need to replace the panels. That lovely dome and the dome busters, brilliant. Keep that. The rest is attached to it. The shitty hall with
we love the Oasis debate.
I've seen Paul Weller there. Crap acoustics. Knock all that side of it down.
I've seen Cascada and Scouting for Girls there. Doesn't mean I want to talk about it. I want to talk about Swindon Town training and development.
You suggested knocking the Oasis down.
Sorry.
Your fault, Dad.
Sorry.
What are we talking about anyway? What are we saying?
Oasis, the
Where
great
should Swindon build their new training complex?
Oh, easy, Foundation Park.
Right.
So what you've got there at the moment, this thing with the cricket club, no disrespect to the cricket club, honestly, God bless it. It's not like a county cricket ground or anything, is it? Could they move somewhere to a great big field and build another pavilion? Yes, probably.
They could just make an indoor cricket club at the Oasis.
I didn't interrupt you. Could they move to a great big field and stick another thing there and have the same sort of thing? Because it's a lot of land with a albeit a very nice clubhouse, built onto it. we've got if you look at the athletics track that's still there, that should stay there. But the land in the middle, the area in the middle of the green part, could that be a grass training pitch for the football team? So you've got a grass one and you've got a 3G one on Foundation Park. If you look at how Molineux, I'll use an example, was redeveloped, they had to shuffle it all alongside. So what you had was the John Island stand built in the 1980s, and for a long time, the Molineux, that stand was a long way away from the pitch. And that's what you'd have to do at Swindon. So that cricket ground area, if you purchased it, you'd build a stand there, but for the time being, it would be a little bit away from the pitch because you've got that Don Rogers stand opposite that's already there. And then in time, the Don Rogers stand you'd knock down and pull it across and build that way. You wouldn't upset the residents on Shrivenham Road, Shrivenham Road, because you're not building or blocking their view. We're still talking about the training ground.
Well, we are.
Yeah, we'll build it on that area.
Craig, any other sort of Swindon related landmark? Do you want to build it on the Magic Roundabout or something?
No, I think what Christian was saying, right? Ideally, we want it at Foundation Park. There's quite a few Premiership teams. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they all train together. The youth team trains with them. They eat together and everything else. And I think I'd be surprised if Clem and everyone else who's involved with running the club haven't got that sort of idea in mind to keep it all in one sort of central hub. I mean, I'd have thought it would be cheaper to do it that way rather than trying to locate land somewhere else in the town or outside the town for the academy and the youth players. So yeah, ideally, if they can fit it there at Foundation Park, then brilliant. I think that'll be brilliant for the club.
Well, as always, thank you to everyone for your questions. We hope that we've, in a roundabout fashion, answered them and more. If you'd like to have the debate about the Oasis, however, I will be happy to pass on each of these guys' individual contact details. Or if you want to, we could do a pod just on that. Let us know in the comments.
Save the Oasis.
Do you know what? A Save the Oasis pod would probably get the most views we ever get.
Well,
Probably would.
Let's do it. We'll do it and we'll spend the whole pod plugging this one.
Yeah, spot on.
Right, one final topic then, guys. We have got 2 games this week to discuss. Tomorrow we are away to Tranmere before the Scunthorpe game at home at the weekend. Our predictions last week didn't exactly go to plan.
Nope.
So let's see if we're a bit better this week. Ben, I will come to you first. What are you expecting from these 2 games?
I'm expecting a real tough one at Tranmere. They've wobbled a little bit, but we've got no midfield going up into there. I think we might get a lose. Incidentally, I've got a couple of Tranmere mates who absolutely swear blind.
You've got Exeter admin, Tranmere mates.
I've got Tranmere mates. I've been to Tranmere a couple of times. I've got a few mates up there from the socials now. Friends. And they swear absolutely blind that we're going to thrash them. They don't care. He says, no, you'll beat us, you're Swindon. You don't. We won the last 5 visits to Prenton Park. They'll go, no, we don't care what form you're in, you'll beat us. We don't care. You'll beat us. The same way we are with Colchester. They'll beat us. We don't want to play Swindon. You'll beat us. I think we'll lose 2-0. But I think, I think they're a top 3 team. They've started a little bit late, but they'll beat us because I think.
And how about for the weekend?
I think we will scrape a 1-0 win.
So you're banking on 3 points out of 6 this week.
3 out of 6.
Okay. Ned, how about you? What's your thoughts for the week ahead?
Oh man, that Tranmere game is tough, isn't it? They've got the 2nd best home record in the league.
There was you saying you had no Ned report, but you're just pulling stats out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah, 2nd best home record in the league. So I don't think we stand much of a chance, if I'm completely honest. We still haven't got Reed for this match, have we?
No.
No.
We've got no midfield.
If we
We
had
have no
Reed,
midfield. For a squad that's got more midfielders than anywhere else, suddenly we have no midfield.
We don't. We're going to have to play. I bet you. What's his name? Ian Dollar will start midfield tomorrow. I bet you.
oh, and sorry to change the subject, but against Exeter, when Yandolo come on, that was the point there when Tomlinson didn't touch the ball for about 15 minutes. I'm not sure what that change was. So if that's the case, if he's playing again, then I really don't fancy our chances at all. I think this could be a bit of a Tonkin. So my rose tinted specs have well and truly been taken off. I think for this game, we could be looking at a 3-1 Tonkin, is my opinion for that one. And Scunthorpe, we have to win. So Reed will be back for that game, won't he?
Yeah.
Read back, and hopefully Payne as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel confident about that one. I fancy a couple of goals there. 2-0, 3-0. We'll go with 3-0.
You're again going for 3 points this week.
3 points this week. 3-1 loss and 3-0 win. That's what I'm going for.
Craig?
Yeah, I think Tranmere are going to smash us tomorrow. I think they're going to smash us 4-0. Like Ned was saying,
no disrespect here, gents, right? But this is slowly turning into one of the most depressing episodes we've ever done. I mean, with all due respect and with all kindness intended, you're speaking about how you're all approaching a certain age where it's not looking promising, and everyone's predicting we're going to get absolutely smashed tomorrow.
Both you haven't heard my prediction for Scunthorpe yet. But look, Tranmere, as Ned was saying, Tranmere's home record's really good up until they got smashed by Forest Green, but that's just a blip for them.
Everyone's getting smashed by Forest Green.
We're struggling at the moment. I think
didn't get beat by Forest Green.
No, we're good then. Yeah, we're good.
We were good then.
I think things are going to get worse before they get better for us. So yeah, I think they'll beat us 4-0. Scunthorpe, I don't think we'll get a win. I think they've drawn quite a lot of their games. They've drawn about 10 games, so they've been able to grind out results. And I think they will come to us. I mean, they've got the second worst goal scoring record and the worst goals conceded. So we should.
Now you're pulling out the stats.
We should be piling. We should be putting a few goals past them, but. We're at home, aren't we, against Scunthorpe? With us being at home and the hoodoo that we have playing at home, I think it will be a 1-1 draw. So
you're backing us for 1 point this week?
Yeah.
Christian, please be the voice of positivity.
Here we go.
I don't know what's wrong with these idiots, honestly. Where is Scunthorpe in the league?
Bottom.
Second bottom. Or the bottom now.
Bottom now, I think. Yeah.
Okay, all right. In typical Swindon style, we will go to Tranmere and get a draw, probably 2-2, or a Desmond, as you call it, Ben. We'll get a draw at Tranmere, probably 2-2.
RIP, by the way.
It's always been quite an all right hunting ground for us there, even when we are shit, which we are.
Last 5 in a row.
Huh?
My Tranmere mates are saying we've won the last 5 games there.
We have.
Last 5 in a row we've won at Prenton Park.
Exactly. We will draw there tomorrow, 2-2. For some reason, it's a happy hunting ground. It's also the place where that fucking Di Canio's mate tried to throw a game, which he still denies. But we won there back in the day. Fabio, whatever his name is.
It's another random stat pulled from nowhere.
Slightly libelous, so a disclaimer just for Fifey.
These are the views of Christian and not the entire pot.
Yeah.
True story. Fabio Pickering, whatever his name is, only stayed there.
Fabio Pickering.
Wherever his name was.
Picaretta.
There
Pickering.
to try and throw that game. But Darren Ward, Tommy Miller, and one other at a service station got wind of it and had the players in a meeting and said, right, this fucker wants us to lose, so we're going to go and win here. And they did. They won 1-0, and then he resigned the next day. He was only ever there to try and throw the game for Paolo's ego. Anyway, that's the Tranmere
so
one.
We're going to draw Tranmere.
That's a 2-2. Scunthorpe at home. They're playing crap. We will lose that 1-0. I cannot see.
Right, so hang on here. So you've said, when I said it was your turn to give your prediction, you said, I don't know what's wrong with this lot, and you've predicted us to get 1 point this week.
Well, that was about the Tranmere thing. That was about the Tranmere. Nobody has realised what our record at Tranmere is like.
I said what our record was like. It's still backed us to lose.
No, we're drawn at Tranmere. We're drawing 2-2 at Tranmere. Okay.
On it, guys.
We're drawing 2-2 at Tranmere. Scunthorpe. Can you imagine a team with Anthony? You look at our players. They ain't got a fucking pair of balls between them. Where's the passion coming from? Oh yeah, you're really gonna frigging do a turn on Anthony Grant? I don't think so. Anthony Grant will have that fucking Scunthorpe team dialed in and ready for battle. And what's his name? Garner will be on the touchline. Play it to him. Absolute bollocks. Passion wins that game. Scunthorpe 1-0.
Woody.
I'm still laughing at
Virgins.
I think we will win tomorrow night. And just put a positive spin on the whole thing. I think we'll win tomorrow night. I think Davison will get off the mark tomorrow night. We'll win 2-0 tomorrow. And then I think we'll draw 1-1 with Scunthorpe.
So you're backing us for 4 points.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the opposite way round. I think we draw tomorrow and win on Saturday.
Well, then, what's the actual scores then, Fifey?
And on what basis?
Do you know what? I was sat here thinking when I first asked Ben the question, I was sat here thinking 1-1 tomorrow. But given how adamant Christian is, I'm going to say we're going to draw 2-2 tomorrow, and then win 3-1 on Saturday. Is my predictions.
Where are these 3 goals coming from on Saturday, Fifey? Where are these 3 goals at home?
Either from one of the 10 men wearing red on the pitch, or possibly direct from a goal kick. You never know.
They might throw one in.
Hat-trick.
Scunthorpe are terrible. They might throw one in. They lost to John Sheridan on Saturday.
Talk more shit than a cow's ass. Watch John Sheridan at Oldham. I'll tell you now, he is not a bad manager.
Let's not get talking about
terrible.
John Sheridan
He
again.
nearly
We've wasted
got
far too much
Chesterfield
time on this
relegated.
pod
He
in the last
nearly
week or two talking
Wigan
John Sheridan.
relegated. He got us relegated. He's got Oldham relegated. Sure, a couple
And
of
he
times.
picks
He
on
was sacked by
him,
Oldham
he
twice.
picked on
He got
him.
knocked
God,
out
shut up!
in-
I don't want to talk John Sheridan anymore until we play Oldham. I'm taking him off the agenda completely.
Bill Shankly and Alex Ferguson picked on players as well. Didn't do them no fucking harm, did it?
They won games though.
Yeah.
They did actually.
Correct.
And on
Use
that,
some form of tactics.
on that bubbly note, I'm going to call an end to this week's show. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. And as we always say, if you want to get involved and have your say on any of the topics, then either get in touch on the various socials in the comments, send us a message, or if you want to appear on a show and discuss games that you've been to and other topics around SM1, let us know and we would love to get you involved. But until next week, from me and the rest of the panel, good night.
Save the
Go on
Oasis.
around.